Hey there, CJ students. Today we're going to do our deep dive into seeking intellectual excellence. So first up, the 2018 award authored by Mr. Deal. Remember, you're trying to underline and annotate all the different places where you see these students seeking intellectual excellence so that you can develop a really in-depth definition and come up with good examples for your career personalis conference. So I was sitting watching a basketball game a while back, and one of the players made a pretty slick play, and half the crowd erupted with a, "Ooh, did you see what he just did?" One hand pointing, one hand covering your mouth. Seeing somebody dribble behind their back and through the legs is pretty cool. I agree. What I think the crowd might really been reacting to in that moment is where that move probably came from. The hours and hours of practice when the player must have been giving up something else they wanted to do, trying and failing, dribbling off their foot, no one cheering, until they break out the special move in a big moment to help their team. I think this idea relates to both the recipient of this award for intellectual excellence. Intellectual excellence refers to the daily grind, getting your job done inside and outside of class, day in, day out, when no one is watching. The student we recognize today understands this because he's developed the habit of doing the daily grind. Our language arts class has been working hard developing into strong writers, to take a fully formed and complex idea that is in your head and somehow transport that idea into someone else's brain with only letters, words, sentences, and paragraphs as your tool is truly an art. To express a complex idea in exactly the way you want takes practice and patience and perseverance. But if you know how to grind, you can get pretty good at it. Recently in class, we were working on an essay about the role a home can play in a family. The student worked hard on his writing all year at home and at school. For this particular assignment, he chose to bring one of his early drafts to me before it was due to see what he could improve. It wasn't quite there, but you could see all that hard work starting to pay off. As I was reading, I got to the place where he was using a Gwendolyn Brooks short story to argue about the importance of building memories in a home, using a passing reference to fireplaces as evidence. In his next paragraph, he continues the theme of memory building and brought out a reference to a Mildred Taylor novel about the Logan family building their Christmas memories around the fireplace. That added texture he got directly by referencing the importance of the fireplace in both stories. I had not seen coming. I had to picture someone bringing their hand to their mouth, pointing and saying, "Oh, did you see what he just did?" Behind that slick move, you could see the hours and hours of practice when I knew Suleiman was giving up something else he wanted to do, trying and failing, having to rewrite draft after draft in the fall, no one giving him an award, until eventually he breaks out and earns the award for intellectual excellence. The award for intellectual excellence for the class of 2018 goes to Suleiman Ajist. Now we'll go to the 2019 award, and again, same thing. You want to underline, annotate all the different examples. This was authored by Mrs. Boyle. I worry that the outside world sees this phrase intellectual excellence and just does not get it. There are probably people who picture that guy on Jeopardy who seems to know everything, or a brilliant mathematician or a musician who can learn a new piece really quickly. And they think, yes, that is what intellectual excellence is. It's genius, it's performing with ease, it's learning fast. It's not. And I love the fact that in this building, there's no misunderstanding about what intellectual excellence really is. Here, we know that intellectual excellence is a commitment to the daily work required to truly master a concept. It is the desire to do so, or when that desire is absent, the self-discipline to recognize the value in buckling down and getting it done. Intellectual excellence is a willingness to set down your phone, to look around and think, wow, and allow the sense of wonder to lead you to what you want to learn more. The gentlemen who have earned this award, yes, plural gentlemen, have found a way to protect something sacred. They always allow themselves to be interested. They dig into the work, the questions that lead to more questions. They do their own thinking. They're interesting. And they make every classroom they're in a better place for other students, a safer place for questions, a more fascinating ecosystem of thought. Someone could look at their CJ resumes and assume that everything comes easily to them. Excellent grades, standout robotics leaders, fantastic musicians, the guys who can help you in study hall. But the gentlemen of the class of 2019 can attest the daily toil Mr. Sims and Mr. Starks have undertaken in order to get there. Looking back at the praise Mr. Sims and Mr. Starks have been offered during chapel during their 4 years as CJ students, some clear themes emerge. Participation, wants to understand, consistent, positive, engaged, effort, helps, reflects, asks. All these phrases describe choices to raise a hand or not, every class, every day, to think deeply or daydream, every study hall, every day, to ask until understanding is clear, to help others do the same, to contribute to a learning community or not. And despite being faced with the same distractions and fatigue and constraints as all other 7th or 8th graders everywhere, Mr. Starks and Mr. Sims have chosen over and over again to say yes to the work, to the wonder, and to the growth. I am so confident that they'll go off into the world and do the same, and we'll all be better for it. I'm so very proud to recognize this year's winners of the Grad Award for Intellectual Excellence, Mr. Winston Sims and Mr. Israel Starks. So now, just like last week, your job is to take a deep dive into not open to growth, but intellectual excellence. Looking at the definitions, say, hey, here's 2 or 3 examples a 3rd or 4th grader might give you. Here are some better examples from a 7th and 8th grader. And then here's the super specific and personal concrete example I want to talk about in my Cure Personalis with the artifact that I've come up with in talking about my strengths and areas of growth. And then finally, asking myself, hey, if I look at this striving and aspiring language in these definitions here, striving and aspiring, how would that help me to live a life that's closer to God? Because that's the goal of our lives, is to live closer with God forever.